Welcome back to Whitt Acres. It is September 16th and it's a beautiful sunny day. Today we are going to be going around for our 18th week of garden tours, and everything's still looking pretty nice out there. I got my gourds and pumpkins spread out and it's starting to feel like fall. Now that we're getting into the fall season, I'm trying to get everything that's in pots I have sitting around into the ground, because they'll do a lot better getting in the ground for the winter. Some things I'm able to get into the landscape where they're going to be, and other things I just have to throw in the nursery for now until the areas that they'll be going are actually ready. A lot of construction is going to be going around this fall and winter, so I don't want to be putting anything out and planting them that's going to be in the way. So as usual, we'll go around and see what's blooming and see what kind of food's still out there to be had, and I'll start talking about some of the plans I have to change the garden up for next year, so I can start getting some things dug up, separated, and spread out. Alright, let's go. I still have the goldfish out here because the weather's still holding up and the goldfish can handle some cold weather. So the elephant ear is still going. Probably leave this go here until we get closer to frost. I don't want to pull the elephant ear out because I'm really just gonna kill it. The goldfish pond is still going out here with the 6-feeder goldfish I have in there. The weather's still holding up, so I'm keeping it up and running out here. I like seeing it. Got the citronella plant doing amazing. It's not really keeping any bugs away though. We do have these palms in the pots here that have been doing okay. It's the first year for them, so we'll be storing those over the winter. I have this little rack here that we started decorating out with some ceramics and real pumpkins. I think it's looking out real nice. On the back side of that rack we have the sweet autumn clematis blooming up real nice, and whenever the wind blows just right you can get some sweet smell to it, but for being a first year planting I feel it out really nice. I'm going to be doing something different with this rose garden next year. I'm planning on taking out all 4 roses, and I don't know if you saw the spring video, but I have this whole bed filled up with hyacinths, and they're going to all get pulled out as well. So pretty much empty this bed completely except for the sweet autumn clematis, and I think I'll be putting in all 4 new roses for this area because these ones just aren't doing that great. The red bank still has some color on the edges. We got the gourd, volunteer gourd, growing up in the pot, doing real nice. We got the zinnias and the French dwarf marigolds blooming, as well as the blue Chinese forget-me-not. But this whole area here kind of got taken out because the Cracker Jack's marigolds didn't last. We have this little oxynalis. It says oxynalis triangularis, something like that. This is a little purple bell flower, and you can't kill this thing. It's a perennial and it'll regrow from the roots. We've actually rototilled right over this whole patch of flowers, and it just spreads out and keeps blooming, so I like it. It's a nice ground cover. The gourd, you can see, volunteered reaching all the way to halfway across the mound now. This dahlia is finally blooming. It's been taking a long time. This is a floodlight dahlia, and it's sitting in a little pot we have stuffed into the bank. But it's finally blooming. It's a little late, but still appreciated. Have some petunias still blooming there, and the zinnias and cosmos holding this area together. They're starting to fade out, but still nice color to them. Petunias on the bottom are still working. I got to come in here. We just had another rain yesterday. Ooh, ladybug. We just had another rain yesterday, and it's not looking like it's going to be dry the next couple days. Oh, there's another dahlia I have to get out. It doesn't look like it's going to bloom this year. I have the little firecracker plant in there with another Chinese forget-me-not. But yeah, I got to come in here and get some zinnia seeds before they all get all soggy and rotten. But first, go puppy, go! Glad I plugged in all these extra zinnias out here because they're the only things with color, and it's really making this place look like it's had a plan in the beginning. I have a what is that thing? Scarlet runner bean on this trellis here, and you can see it's going to seed. So you got giant beans coming on here, and they're starting to plump up, so I will be saving those seeds as well. I've said this before and I'm going to keep saying it until it gets done, but I need to dig up all these irises and separate them out onto the top of the mound so they're not blocking anything. They're a little bit too tall for the front of the mound now that I'm putting other things in here. I'm going to leave all the hostas where they are. I think I have 7 hostas going through here. I'm going to separate the irises around them. There's a crocosmia here I want to split up, and then I have calla lilies that I'm also going to be moving around in there. And I have 6 lilies that I bought, little day lilies like this one, that I'll be adding to the bank as well, because I think that'll add more color during the lulls of the perennials. So should have color all year long if I can get that all split up and separated out. Even the back of the mound's looking pretty good. Still has some color on them. Up, up. I want your ball. Go. The rest of the island out here, I started putting the gourds on around the path and just scattered some along the edge for a splash of color. The grass is starting to flop in here. I'm not sure if that's a perennial grass or not. It's a Mexican feather grass, so I'm not sure if it's going to last in my zone 6A out here. I have this pathway and the calla lilies are still green, which is nice. The zinnias are blooming. The coleus is going to flower real tall over here. You can see the bumblers love those little flowers. Got the zinnias out here. I've had 2 monarch butterflies out here just playing for a long time. With this pathway, I want to take all the hyacinths that I'm pulling out of the rose bed, and I want to put them in here with the calla lilies, so I have a nice spring row of color where the calla lilies will be not coming up yet that early. So I think that's all I need to do out here, plus I need to mulch, because I did not mulch this year in a lot of the new garden spaces and I'm getting overtaken by weeds. So I do have some food. Looks like I have some raspberries that are actually ready. Nice. Try that. It's a good raspberry. So that's nice. I'm actually getting some raspberries here. I know I had some before. But the birds and critters got to them before me. So I'm going to go ahead and pick these ripe ones while I can and eat them on my walk. This blackberry here is a thornless variety. You can see it put on real long runners. Little big canes on this one. So I am going to be, I got some stakes that I'm going to be putting in here and roping it off for all these raspberries, black raspberries and blackberries. My berry row right here, I'm going to be roping off and making a nicer trellis for them to hold up all the canes. This year it wasn't that bad because they're small, but next year they're going to be established and really pushing up a lot of canes, and I'm pretty sure the black raspberries over here are thorny. Maybe, yeah, even the red raspberry is a heritage and it's thorny as well. So you can see all these canes, they're thorny, and I don't really want to be mowing here and getting all wrapped up in them, so I have to build a trellis system for it. Maybe I'll make a video. Maybe that'll be a nice one. Just noticed over here that our pyracanthia split. That's not cool. This is supposed to be a nice big branch, but I'm guessing it, I don't know if yeah, we got a buck came in here and rubbed it. You see that? That's a buck rub. So we've had a deer in here doing damage. He's just a little 4 or 6 point, but he's got velvet, and you can see the damage. Just came in here and rubbed all up on my pyracanthia right while it's in berry. It's a shame. Scratched it all up. I thought we had some wind on my nectarine tree last week because it had a branch that broke off, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking it was that young buck rubbing up on all my young trees. I've already had some problems with them. Like I said, we've been planting this fall, trying to get everything that's in pots put out into the ground, and you can see we have cornfield all around us, and the deer come right in. They've been scratching up all my young sapling trees, which is kind of unfortunate. You can see this volunteer gourd here made its way right through my little pollinator patch. It's vined all the way through. This thing is spreading out. Definitely got a lot of growth on it for being a volunteer late season too. I'm trying to find the center of it. Yeah, here's the stalk. So a bird dropped this seed here, and you can see growing some gourds on the ground. You can see why I grow them on the pergola, because they take up a lot of square footage. Oh, I see some strawberries in here that I'm gonna have to grab as well. That's nice. We got some ripe strawberries. These are ever-bearing strawberries, and they do. I don't get bushels and bird got that one. I'm gonna have to share. But they are the sweetest strawberries I've ever had. I need to move this bed out into the sun more because it gets way too much shade. I think I'd be getting a lot more strawberries if I was in the sun with it. Well, what do you think, pup? Chipmunk's kind of hiding that tarp, and he has fun chasing them. Out here I have more ground cherries and I know what to do with. I'm actually going to be pulling these up, getting all the good ones I can get. I'll make that pie I've been talking about, and then I'll just compost the rest of these plants. So this is the first I'm seeing of this. Looks like someone came and dug up my sweet potato vine. I don't know if it was a rabbit or what, but yeah, I'm not getting a sweet potato this year. The whole bed's just been destroyed. He came and ate up this one, it looks like. Yeah, the weeds out of there. Chewed this one almost to a nub. Ate the rest of them. I'm not getting a sweet potato this year. The tomatoes are a wreck. Probably have that's still a good tomato right there. So I pulled out yesterday along my potato run here. I pulled out the rest of my, get this weed. I pulled out the rest of my potatoes. I got about a half a bushel, and then I pulled out all the tomatoes that were there. Ooh, red Malabar spinach climbing up nicely. See how long that lasts into the winter. But over here I pulled up all my tomatoes that I had sprawling out on the ground. You can see the remnants of them. A bunch of them laying around here. It's like a tomato massacre. I got rid of them because they're mostly rotten. I got a handful of good tomatoes out of it, and then I composted the rest of the plant. Down by the Malabar spinach, I still have calendula or calendula, however you want to say it, still blooming. That's why I planted it here, because I wanted something to bloom long season. This thing will last well into winter. If we get some decent frost on them, it'll still make it through a lot of that. Here the okra is getting big. Nice beautiful flower on here. I got plenty of okra from this little patch of it, and I don't really need any more, but I do enjoy the flowers out here, as well as my pollinator patch, which is blooming up beautifully. Plenty of nice color, and look at that pollinator working right now. Get in there close. Look at that soft little guy. Little bumbler. My little pomegranate tree I had to plug in here this year because my last one died. This is a winter Russian winter. Hardy Russian winter. Yeah, hardy Russian pomegranate, something like that. But it's starting to flower, so that means it's happy and healthy, so that's nice. Hopefully it can make it through this winter as well. More calendula blooming by my peppers, and I still got peppers coming. Plenty of peppers. And I only planted a little patch, but I'm still getting a lot. Ooh, I have the gourd. I found the gourds. You can see this is the Caveman Club. And what's cool about gourds is they look just like they do when they're big, when they're small. So they don't grow up and change, they just get bigger. So you can see all the little ribs in there. Nice curl to it. Another one there. Those will make nice bird houses. I have one birdhouse made from one of these up in this maple. Up here in the maple, if you can make it out, I have a Caveman Club birdhouse right there. You can see the curved handle and the little hole on the front. It's been occupied all season. and it's working just fine for that little birdie. I had this Royal Empress grow up this year, but it didn't do a very symmetrical branch out, so I think next year I'm gonna have to cut this down to about 4 feet and let her try again and branch out. Out here by the barn we've been doing some planting. I got a witch hazel planted right here. This is a Chinese fire. Carmine red witch hazel. I was close, but it was not doing that good in the pot, as you could see, so I wanted to get it in the ground. And this is the spot we picked because it doesn't want full sun. It can take some partial sun and definitely doesn't want the afternoon heat, so the barn should block a lot of that afternoon sun. And up here on the corner we put an evergreen that is a nice bright yellow, which is playing well off the red barn, but it also blocks off this corner so no one can actually look in past the barn eventually once that grows out. Back here we have 2 big cypress that hopefully will grow in. We got the big maple we planted here in the spring. I'm going to get a couple more evergreens over here. On the back corner behind that maple is about a 5-foot Fuji green giant. That'll be the corner. And then here the new addition is this red leaf tree. My dad just picks up things at nurseries whenever they're on discount, and if you know what this tree is, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. But it was just a cheap tree, and it was a good size, so we got it and we planted it up here. And then where I had my ash tree up here on the corner, we plugged in a yellowwood. As you can see, this one was not doing well in the pot either. It was drying out, so I wanted to get it in the ground. This is a yellowwood. You've heard of redwood trees? Well, this is a yellowwood. It's a deciduous leaf tree, and it was a good size, and it came with the redwoods when we got those. And I'll show you where we have those planted as well. Down in front of the barn, it's a lot of weeds because I wanted to make a little cut flower garden here. As you can see, I got a couple flowers. I could cut them, but I'm just leaving them out here because they make me happy when I walk by. But the tons of seeds that I spread out here only produced maybe a dozen zinnias and some marigolds that I'm still waiting on blooms for. But what I wanted to talk about was inside the barn. We just got the concrete done, not redone, but a bunch of groundhogs made holes in our concrete, so we had a company come in and drill holes all around in a grid pattern, and that was to pump a bunch of mortar down underneath the pad to help stop the cracking from happening. We also have a pig pen in here that we used to operate when I was growing up. We used to come in here and ride the pigs, and so we might be getting this back in operation. Hopefully by spring we might be getting some pigs in here, so subscribe down below and stick around for that. We are heading out to the end of the field because I want to show you where we got the redwoods put in and what we're kind of planning out here. We got this beautiful pine out here that my dad planted when he first moved into the property, and it's doing great. I wanted to flank it with the 2 redwoods. So the one redwood is here, and we got a redwood just outside its drip edge right here. So hopefully that they will grow kind of together to block this corner off. I want to frame in the whole property. I have these 2 thujas that are probably going to have to move. Yeah, definitely have to move because they're too close, but this is where I wanted the redwood, so I'll move the thujas because we are going to be taking out these 2 hemlocks because you can see how not thick they are, and they've been like that for a long time now, and they're just not getting any better. So I want to get rid of them and get something a little bit thicker and denser started out here. I got this row going, getting started. Got a thuja here that'll probably stay, but all these deciduous trees, I have evergreens in the back, just 2 different kinds of spruce, black spruce and white spruce. And then I have these 2 empresses, a river birch, and then a black gum tupelo tree, which all 4 of these deciduous trees are going to get torn out and replaced with some maple trees that we have over by the nursery. So they're a little bit bigger and they're going to get a better impact before these trees will do anything, especially since that buck has made his way over here and just destroyed my river birch. This thing is struggling now. It's having a hard time. My black gum tupelo tree, it was doing so bad I actually cut it back because the buck got it early last year. So I cut it back, and it's just kind of tiny shrub now. I don't know what it's really doing, but it's not doing what I wanted it to do in this spot, so it's gonna have to get moved. Nothing has been safe. Even my bald cypress out here, you can see, has been just ravished by the little buck we have. He's really been trying to get that velvet off and just messing with all my trees. This little willow hybrid I put in here, he got the first night. You can see he's all scratched up on the bottom. I'll flare it out there, scratching up that. Even on my oak tree, got a bunch of gouges coming down there, and some gourds I found while I was mowing, cleaning up the squash mound area here. You can see it's all cut back, and I'm trying to get it all cleaned up for the fall. I don't need a bunch of just leaves here rotting. So you can see there's some gourds that got caught in the mower. It was shredded because they were already rotten, so I just left them out here. My poor blaze red maple tree took a big hit, scratched her all up. I guess this one fit perfect in his antlers because he really liked here and stayed here and beat up my maple. My Royal Empress was the only one protected because I have this dog cage around it, which is good because that's a soft bark tree. I don't want any scratches on this one. Look how big this tree is. This tree is massive. It's all one season of growth, and that's pushing 15 feet high. Just massive in comparison to like my red maple. Boom. Way up there. This big pumpkin that rotted before I got to it, starting to get all hollowed out now. You can see inside there. Got some pumpkin seeds in there. Not sure if they'd be viable because it did rot out, but it did rot after it got pretty close to being ripe. So I don't know. I have other pumpkins I'll be taking seeds from. This one was a weird shape, and I don't actually want to save the seeds from that weird shape. So this is the garden now here in mid-September. Still got this bed full. Like I said, this is the ground cherries. I'm gonna pull all these ground cherries out, take what's good. I actually found that snake gourd in there while I was mowing too, pulling the fence out. I had to get the fence pulled back so I could get in there and mow. I found a couple snake gourds and one more pumpkin actually. Another pumpkin right here. I'm gonna let it sit there in the sun so it can turn orange. Herb garden. I don't know if you saw me start the season with this herb garden, but I've probably lost, I'd say 8 inches of compost. That thing sunk way down. Got this mulch spread out. You can see the zinnias are still making my pollinator patch look beautiful. Look at all these different colors. It's like a kaleidoscope one there. Definitely be saving seeds from this. Gotta have my saved seeds because I plant way too much to be buying all my own seeds. There's definitely still some good tomatoes in here. I know that one's bad, but I bet, yep, that's a good one. That's still a good tomato. These are the Ace 55 determinate tomatoes, but they're still putting on tomatoes even though I didn't pick some. And geranium kisses all laying everywhere, yellow pears laying everywhere. There's a crackerjack marigold that's still blooming. Big yellow patch here is my fennel that's going to flower. I do have some leeks in here that I will be harvesting. I want to try some leeks, see what all the rage is from whales, see why they like leeks so much. French dwarf marigold and some baby rose nasturtium blooming. I have some carrots left in here just to see if they get any sweeter after the frost, but I'm not too confident in that. I got my raised bed, square foot garden bed all cleaned out. All I did was leave the chard and the kale and a couple carrots in here. Look at this chard. Look at that base. Isn't that crazy? I didn't know chard did that. So I'm actually leaving them go, see how long they last into winter. But that is crazy. I did not know they did that. My kale is real long, but it's still putting on some. That's a dinosaur kale. And then I have the blue curled Scotch kale over here with those weird nasty little bugs on them. It's like some kind of cabbage bug. They're no good, but they look kind of cool. My asparagus bed all ferned out by my last volunteer sunflower. Always welcome, buddy. Keep on keeping on. But the ferns are all buried up here. You can see the red berries. The ferns are well over 7 feet tall, and it is completely full. So next year we should get a very good asparagus harvest. This is the Rising Sun Redbud and the Black Tower Elderberry that I put in here because I'm going to be reshaping this. I'm going to bring the yard out right here along this marigold and just wrap it around that red bud and take it back. And then this is going to be a pathway with the entrance to my garden. So I'm going to get that all fenced in and get that cut out and made for next year. So yeah, those are the plans. Hopefully I can get it done. Stick around. Out in the perennial garden, there's nothing much to see. We got the sedum blooming, which needs separated out. There's a lot of work to be done in here. The Lenten roses need separated out as well. Ton of weeds to clean up. I don't know what kind of weed that is that's putting off all the little white feather tufts, but the birds have been going crazy for it. They've been all over that. I have some zinnias blooming in there, the cleomes blooming in there, and I have more hibiscus blooming, and another sedum on the end here. But there's a lot of work to be done in here. Like, I'm so perturbed, is that a word for it? But I don't even want to get in there and take all the weeds out because there's more weeds than flowers at this point. Coming out this way, you can see the goldenrod is starting to bloom back there, getting some weeds. And then I have another Rising Sun Redbud right here. I lost my laurel. Must have been a bad spot for it, but it's all burned up right there. My hollies and my hydrangeas are looking good. What is that? Got a weed growing back here with a cool little yellow trumpet flower. Have to see what that is. But the hydrangeas are looking good. This one's actually dying back, but it's just the first year for them, so I'm really expecting a better show next year. That one actually came back nicely. A lot more white blooms than it had a couple weeks ago. Paradise Ocean, not Ocean, Paradise Ocean. These are the Paradise Proven Winners petunias, and they look beautiful. That one actually has a different color. Huh, that doesn't happen often. All that and one different petunia. Puppy's in there back by the Black-Eyed Susan, which is pretty much done. Not really a vibrant color anymore, but we actually view this area from a little bit of a distance, so it's still nice to have that little pop of color. These ones are still putting off some yellow, and then the Russian Sage Blue Jean Baby has been going since I put it in. It's just fantastic. I think all in all this corner worked out well. The only thing I'd like to do is get some type of blockage between these two. I have a holly there and the Gold Globe arborvitae here, and I'd like to block a little bit here for the road, because once that corn comes down you can see right through here. Speaking up above here, you can see that is my Royal Empress, which is doing amazing. That is the 3rd year of growth, and that tree is easily 15 feet wide by 20 something feet tall. Just gorgeous. I'm probably going to dock it down about 50% of the canopy because that is a weak wood of tree, so I don't want the branches getting any longer than they are without cutting them back and letting them get a little bit thicker and stronger before they reach out too far. Down in here, Puppy's playing in the coxcomb hedge, which has just been looking beautiful for a long time here. I'll be collecting a lot of these seeds this year because I might be doing a hedge in the back. My beautiful sunflower. So this hedge will be supplying a lot of seeds. I'll be doing probably 3 times as much as this next year. Which brings us right over here to my tropical garden, where you can see the grass now is putting on its tufts, little tufts. Nice and soft seeds. I should probably cut these off because it's probably a bad thing for this to seed all through the property. But it looks so cool. I don't want to cut them off. What do you guys do? Let me know down below. The burning bush is going to be going into flower here soon. I keep saying that, but we keep getting a hot week and keeps holding it back. But I know these are going to autumn off to a nice bright red, but you're going to have to just wait a little bit longer on those. Coming back into the jungle garden. This won't be the jungle garden next year, so I'm going to be pulling all these canna lilies out of here, and the elephant ears. They all got to come out. You can see what happens to your sedum whenever you let it get too big. It'll split right there in the middle, and that's when you know you should have separated it last year. Got this weird gourd here. I'm actually going to get it. Yep, I'm gonna pull it off just like that. Oop, had some morning glory attached to it. I'm gonna pull this off, set that there for some decoration. So I got the front area cleaned out of the watermelons, so I just left all the watermelons laying there, so you can see the petunias now. This is a tall Asiatic lily that I need to remove. That's why I haven't cut it back yet. I want to remember where it is. Remember to do that. Another watermelon. Got the Easter peppers. It's just something different. Bright orange out here. The cardinal climber is climbing up nicely. That's the cardinal climber. Tiny little red flower. Little real ferny leaves like that. That's what it is. It's looking good climbing up this tree with the purple hyacinth bean vine and the apple gourd. The tree's actually filling out pretty nicely now, and the purple hyacinth bean vine is flowering up there at the top, if you can see that. Hard to tell. There you go, right there in the middle, little purple flowers. All in all, it worked out pretty well out here. I will be harvesting the bean seeds. Right there, that is the purple hyacinth bean seed vine. You'll harvest it just like you do any other peas and beans. Just go ahead and let that dry out, and then you'll have a nice seed for next year. Got the apples hanging off of this too, so I think it looks good. Now more vine, that cardinal, all this cardinal bean vine is taking over my canna lily there, and that's all volunteer from last year. I didn't actually plant that. Another bushel gourd peeking out here. Little guy. More canna lilies. We got a variegated orange one here. Looks real nice. Two of them actually, so we'll be spreading that out. And then the Russian sage. This is the full-size Russian sage. That'll probably double in size next year, if not bigger. Knockout roses, and the dianthus is blooming again. Nice. This thing actually tripled in size from when I put that in there 1 year ago. More of the burning bush annuals. I can't wait till they burn. It's gonna be a nice fire ring right there. I have the pumpkin sitting out front now. That's one of my 57-pound pumpkins. Big coleus patch. I don't think I've ever showed this before, but this is the placard for our house number that I made. Just a nice piece of walnut, and then etched it with a Dremel and painted it black on the inside. I haven't finished the bird yet, but I'm thinking I might have to finish that here in the winter once all the gardening season calms down. Got the snake gourd and the bushel gourd out here. Still have some gladiolas blooming, which surprises me. Out here with the family of ducks and a couple other gourds. French dwarf marigolds are looking good with that basket of purple wave petunias on the well. I'm really liking this front area this year with the white marble. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you like it, hit that like button before you leave. The torch lily is actually still blooming. Look at this one. It's still trying. Getting some double blooms out of that. Another gladiola. The impatiens are just full right here. Gorgeous. As we come back to the hostas, it just won't stop blooming. I didn't even cut most of these back. You can see still have a full seed pod on this one, but it still put up another flower. So that's the Empress Woo. It's pushing out. Got some pokeweed coming up there in the back, but it's the hosta garden. It's just pretty much a grow out bed for all the hostas, so I can get them spread out on the property. I haven't showed this pot in a while, but put this pot out here first thing in the spring, and these begonias looked horrible. They were so small, they never actually made it above the lip. I had African daisy in here with some Dusty Miller, and they actually died back, and now the begonia's going full bloom. So look at that little area. We've got a Goldilocks Parv pine up on top, and I think that's looking really nice. What do you guys think? Coming up to the pergola, you can see it's just looking gorgeous. I freed up the silver lace vine from the gourds climbing over. They were kind of covering up all the pretty white flowers, and I wanted them to keep showing off. We got the apple gourd hanging in here. Just gorgeous. Hanging in there, setting this whole area off. Oh, pup, yeah, you're photogenic, we know. Coming in the path, we can see the pumpkin on a stick is just about ready. I'll be getting all these pumpkins on a stick into a nice big fall arrangement. Hit that subscribe button down below and stick around so you can see that video. Coming around the back, more calendula. This blueberries tomato is just ridiculous. It won't stop putting off tomatoes, and it is well over 8 feet tall now because the pergola is 8 feet and it's shooting out of the top. We got apple gourds back here, little chubby birdhouse gourds. I think you guys look real cool being chubby. Some dippers in the back here, and I'm checking on my long gourds. These little beans they're so furry. They're actually really soft and furry. Some of them should be putting on some length. This one's trying to, but I guess I'm not really getting any long gourds this year to perform the way I want them to. See this gherkin wall here? I tried to make this a big wall, but it's only about 4 feet up the trellis. You can see how thick that wall of gherkins is. So I bet you can imagine how many little gherkins there are in there. There's tons. But it spilled out all the way over the pathway, and didn't actually want to climb early in the season, so that was the problem. But I still like having gherkins for some fresh eating. Puppy, you got an itch. So I'm pretty happy that the deer have been leaving this thuja alone. It's kind of protected back here, so that's a good thing. And then the dahlia bed, you can see it's all green. There's not a ton of color in there. I actually had to plant all these, and I'm gonna have to dig them all up, and I only got half the color out of them. So I'll be trying a different spot next year for the dahlias. Got all my gourds laying out here, looking gorgeous. That's all for this one. Go ahead, hit that like button before you leave. We'll be doing garden tours up until the frost, and we'll be doing project videos after that. So go ahead, stick around. We got plenty more videos coming, and you can find me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching.